I'd like to show you how to process market list files from United Hardware. Market list files contains the available discounts within a market for products available from the warehouse. You start by going to Options, IOR menu, United Hardware. You choose Reports, select Show Order. If this were the first time you're loading this particular markets file, you would go to New. This date range projects what the prior 6 months were in the same time period you're going into. So this is July of 19, as we're sitting in July of 20, looking forward into June of 2020. So this will give you with that same period of time that you're going into the sales history. Select OK. In a normal first time load of this file, which you would do at the beginning of the market, you would go to drive M, go to Transact POS Server, and this time there's a United Hardware market file. Double click on that folder and you would pick up the Hank Full Marketing List file. The full one, in parentheses, is the full 40,000. The small one is simply a short list we had created to quickly process that. But you would typically get the full version. You would select, and then it would import that into the temporary file. We've gone ahead and already done that. So once you do that one time, you're finished for that particular market doing that. After that, when you return back to this file, you would do this. You would simply go into Open instead of New. Here's the same parameters for dating, and we'll see this in a moment. That's what that truly applies to. Select OK, and here's a prompt. It is saying, do you want to clear the property, the quantities that were previously posted? So if I had already created the initial purchase order for a particular period of time of a department, it is simply zeroing that activity, and this would be an appropriate response of saying yes. It would zero that activity and make everything a zero. If you were returning because you want to continue on that same class or that same group of items, you would say no, and it would leave those quantities present. So the other area that's important is the Properties tab. The Properties will control what you are viewing and really consolidate that list down to a very workable list. In this example, we're going to go choose class 10 or whatever the class structure you have. I'm going to look at the items that have sales in your system. This was added because there are some systems that had full catalogs in their data and they've never had item sales on 80% of their inventory. This is a quick and easy way of limiting what you see in the screen for items you actually sell. So if I put T for today and then Y for the beginning of the year and Y again, this says I'm only concerned about items that have sales activity beginning back in January of 19. The other thing I want to do, and this is sort of when you think about this, well, this does the same thing anyway, for items that match your store's inventory. So I would probably do both of these. So this gets the filtering done on the left-hand side. The right-hand side deals with the order in which you're going to see the savings. So it's going to start up at the very highest savings at the top of this list and then continue down as that percentage savings diminishes. This cost list control is a simple visual for 20% that we set it at, and you'll see that in a moment. The order date is the requested date that is going to be on the PO, and you could always change that, but it's in the actual PO being created, but you can change it here or in the actual PO generated. Applying, hitting the apply button, then applies that to the list that we see out here. So this list that appears is that which is limited to the Department 10 sales activity since the 1st of 2019, and then items which are matching to the catalog that you have inventoried. So just reading this screen is this particular item, the inflator, has a retail price in the catalog, your retail price, etc., the current cost, average cost, etc. So quantity is the sales quantities being sold by these given periods of time at the bottom. Average selling price, the total sales, and then the profit out of those sales. This is the total sales during this dated 12-month period of time. We only see the 6 months here. If you went into item history, you would see that you have access to all the sales information for the multi-years that you've had that product. As also, you can go into item screen, e-catalog, and find this information. To the center here, you have an on hand that you currently have on hand for. You have a on order, purchase orders of 20. You have 0 allocated as in represented within a sales order, and that's good. So the ship date is what is presented here. On some systems, some vendors will have multiple ship dates, so you could put in, based on how the vendor works, you could have multiple ship dates. I want 5 here, 8 there, and at a later time the 25, whatever. This particular system, we have a single value. This is the 8.2 that we had put in on the properties page. Again, can always be changed. So if I want 10 of these, I'm going to do 10, 1, 0, dot. It gets me certainly to the correct decimal relationship. And so now I've put 10 on order. You see at the top here that the total order so far is $36, the savings of $30.40. These columns match to the dates here. We have a single column, so a single savings and total values. As you go on down through this list, if we went ahead, I only had one sale of this, let's just move on. I'm arrowing down, picking up the next item. I have 15 in the history, as I'm seeing here. I have the 3, 7, 8, 9 of the current time period. So yes, I will probably come in here, I'll change this to a quantity of 10. And it goes on. So this allows you to see the sales information for that item. Over to the right is certainly the savings you have, the accumulated savings on this order, and this utility allows you to find those biggest saving components because you sorted it by the savings percentage and allows you to move forward. So if you're going through the store by department, the next step is once you get to the bottom of this list or to the point that, yep, I'm not getting as much savings I want, I'm going to go ahead and create a PO. You go to PO, single PO, creates the PO. I'm going to say OK. I'm not going to worry about printing. You could print. And then you move on. So if you move on from here, these values are still present. If you go change the properties to a different class and you come back, those quantities we just saw are still in the system. So the way you clear that, and the reason we put it in the position we have, is that you can also, if I'm not done with this process, but I need to go do something else, you can save it. So those quantities stay, you close, and we actually respond twice. So a later time you come back to this project, you're going to go back to reports, you can back to show order, and if you go again, typically open, there's my date ranges I've had, and here it says, do you want to clear those quantities? Well, if I'm going back to continue on that same department, I'm going to say no, I don't want to clear those. I'm going to keep those 2 I have in there and I'm going to continue on. If this is going to be a new department, you're going to say yes. It loads that. Takes about that long. You go to properties and you set up for the other class. So you set up for 9, you go ahead and set your dates, etc. just like you want. I'm going to go ahead and just do something like this, and I'll see the whole group. I'll leave that the same, unfiltered to class. I select apply. Remember to select apply, otherwise it won't filter. Then select list. Now here's my list. And now in this particular case it's the full, all departments, not filtered. I go on down through. I could go in and create my orders. I want 20 of these and making my decisions. I'm going to simply go down and I'm going to need 10 of these, etc. So you get the point. I continue on. I create my PO. I do a single PO. It generates the PO. I'm done. I close. I don't need to see the listing. I close. Sure, I'm going to save it because when I open it back up, I can choose to keep it or not, clearing the deck of all the items quoted. Every time you go back in, you need to make sure you go to properties and do your filter like you want, and then hit that apply to the right. Once you've done this, you will see that the purchase orders are being created. And here they are. So there's our $36, our $62, and some others we've had. So if you select this, it might be easiest that as you do the creation of the PO, you may come on over here and say, yeah, that was of particular class 10, and save it. So you keep a notation as you've gone through the day. Yes, I did departments automotive and paint and 10 and whatever you have, so you make an easy understanding of the work that you've done. This allows you then to transmit this PO to United in a normal fashion. I would probably not combine POs because you've wanted to say, okay, this is Department 10 PO, this is Department 20 PO, and you keep that separated so it's a very clear process when you're downloading that. But with this utility and the ability to generate these POs, you should be very effective in locating savings. Thank you.